Good morning. Happy New Year. Michael Trull here, Amsoil dealer, #1synthetic.com, to get all the Amsoil products shipped to you anywhere in the US and Canada. Today, looking again at the 07 Honda Pilot, the 3.5 VTEC, and what I want to begin to look at is installing this Amsoil Bypass oil filter on here. I've got the openings taped off. This is brand new. I've never used it. I began installation. This is an air filter cover from our 03 GMC Envoy XL. Unfortunately, vehicle was totaled, so salvage was getting a wonderful, well lubricated engine, transmission, everything else. Anyway, this is kind of a hodgepodge, but this is how I was beginning to mount it, and actually had it on the vehicle. Never plumbed the lines, never had the time to plumb the lines. These are actually nylon bolts from a toilet seat, and then I ground the heads off so that it would fit over the air filter and intake tubing and everything. It worked. It was going to work well. It was on the car for a few weeks. I just, like I said, I never got around to plumbing the lines for oil pressure and return. So what this filter does, you probably wonder why you would install this. Some would say it's overkill. These are excellent for diesel engines because they remove soot. But they do remove particles 98.7% efficient at 2 microns. So your oil is analytically clean when you run the oil through this. You can't put a filter this fine on your engine as your main oil filter because it would starve the engine of oil. What it is this takes, it could be called a partial flow. They call it bypass, because it bypasses, it takes some of the oil, a small amount, from the main oil feed, and it filters it super slowly through this ultra fine filter and then returns it to the engine. You can return it through the oil pan or a valve cover, but what I'm going to do, the kit comes with a swivel fitting. I'm going to drill, obviously off the engine, drill into my oil fill cap and install the swivel return fitting, which, if I can find it, here's the kit. Comes with most everything you need. On this Honda, though, it's going to require, I'm going to have to get a special fitting for my oil feed. I've been doing a lot of learning about that. On the Hondas, the fittings are different. They're what's called a 1/8 BSPT. It's a tapered thread. So anyway, we'll go through that in more detail later. But just for now, yeah, we're going to be drilling into that cap and installing this fitting. This is going to be low pressure. It's not going to be under high pressure, but it's just that's a hollow bolt there. That's going to go down through the hole I'm going to drill in the oil fill cap, and the pressurized oil, it's going to come out pretty low pressure, but it's just going to return it to the engine through that oil fill cap. And this is a swivel fitting, so it will allow your line to turn so that you can unscrew the cap to take it off to add oil. Again, the kit, and there are different ones. This is a universal fit. It's called a single remote because it's got just a single oil filter. You still have your main oil filter on the engine, and various fittings, the high pressure hose, instructions. Can be intimidating at first, but it's actually not bad. You do need some mechanical ability. This is actually, I was going to go ahead and install a brand new oil sending unit on the 03 Envoy XL. Not that it was leaking, but I thought, hey, if I'm going to be teeing off of this, I might as well just put a new fitting on, or a new sensor while I'm there. So now I don't know what I'm going to do with this. And I also bought a oil sending unit socket off of Amazon, so not sure if this will fit the Honda sensor, but we shall see. So now we need to talk about mounting location and methods, and you know, it has this basic bracket here. It comes with a little template in the box somewhere where you can, you know, place it on your vehicle and trace it or whatever, or mark the 3 holes. But you know, most modern cars don't have a ton of room, or they don't have a ton of usable room. Like here's a little area, but it's like, where do you mount to? What do you mount to? So I, unfortunately, am not a fabricator. I wish I was good at, you know, fabrication and building brackets and things like that. So for some of you, this kind of stuff would be easy, and you'd see all kinds of places you could mount it. I mean, there's space kind of almost right in here, you know, if you had a way to mount it where it's not, you know, sitting, you know, just laying here. So, and again, you know, I'm not a fabricator, but you can see that I came up with a hodgepodge way to mount this to my old air cleaner housing on the 03 Envoy XL. So what I may end up doing is try to cut part of this. This is really heavy, strong plastic. Maybe try to cut part of this into something that I could then bolt onto somewhere here. I'm looking at these holes here and wondering, you know, I mean, I don't know. So that's just stuff I'm looking at, is where I'm going to mount it. We're going to have the oil, you know, feed line coming up somewhere from down in there. We can't really see a lot. Sorry, I have an extra light. Let's try that. So I think that's called the spool valve down there. And then there's that green tipped sensor, not that one back there, but this one right behind that solenoid looking thing. And then the oil sending unit is kind of off to the side. You can't see it from this angle, but anyway, so we'll have an oil feed line coming up, and you know, going into the filter. Maybe it'll be like here. And I'll need to make it easily removable in case I ever need to, you know, get to the power steering, or to change this power steering magnetic inline filter that I installed in another one of my videos. So, and then, you know, feed the hose right over here to return the oil. And so again, the theory, or the these things work. These things are amazing, especially for diesel engines. You diesel engine guys, you really need to think about something like this for the soot in your oil. Not to mention, you have 3-4 gallons of oil, or maybe 8, 10, 12 gallons of oil on a big truck diesel, and to not have to change that oil as often is a big deal. And to just protect your engine. You know, forget about extended drains, just, you know, protecting your engine, even that alone. So, you know, will I do oil drains past 1 year running this filter? I'm not sure. I probably will pay for at least one oil sample after running it. See, with Amsoil Signature Series and the regular full flow filter that I have on my engine down there, it's 1 year, 15,000 miles, and if you do all highway driving, you could run the oil 1 year, 25,000 miles, you know, changing that full flow filter out halfway and topping off. We don't run anywhere near that, and so probably what I'll do is when I have this, I'll probably take an oil sample after 1 year, change my regular full flow Amsoil filter on the engine, and top off and continue running it as long as the oil sample comes back good. And then this filter is meant to be changed every 2 years, you know, no more than 2 years, 60,000 miles or 600 hours, and that's maximum. I don't know if you can see that at all, but there we go. And that's maximum, you know, but 2 years, I'd be lucky to have 15,000 miles on this in 2 years. But anyway, the idea is when your oil is analytically clean, it's going to flow better. It's going to deplete your additives at a much slower rate. It can also, from what I read, give you better gas mileage. Again, is it a measurable difference? I'm not sure, but just having less junk in your oil, less engine wear. Most engine wear occurs between 3 and 7 microns, and your full flow filter, the one on the engine down there, you can't see at this point that, you know, it can't be too fine because it'll restrict oil flow. So it's got to flow enough oil. So even the Amsoil one on here is 20 microns, 98.7%. This one's 2. So here we've got the parts laid out. You probably won't use everything in here, and you may need, you know, some extra things that didn't come included. On the Honda, that would be this piece here. This is made for Japanese threads, and these are actually tapered threads. It's called 1/8 BSPT. I think I said that right. And then this end here is also 1/8 BSPT, where I'm going to put my sensor back in that I remove. And then this fitting, this is a standard 1/8 NPT. I know it's alphabet soup, sorry. You could go online and familiarize yourself with the different pipe threads and the different threads, but yeah, so basically you got all these different deals to try to make it, you know, fit and work on your application. You know, 90-degree elbows. You can even get, I think, different angles if you want, but these are 1/8 NPT, which is standard. That's what I guess most cars have for an oil sending unit, is the 1/8 NPT. So these fittings here, these are the pressure fittings, and there's a procedure you go through to assemble them onto the hose. And then this is the JIC fitting. I know it's alphabet soup, so let me show you. See this taper? That's a JIC. I think it's a 1/8. But it's all on the parts list and everything. So that side is the tapered. This side is the 1/8 NPT. And so that could go into your, you know, one of these if you need an angle. But basically the tapered seat on the JIC goes in here. So this is your, you know, high pressure. This is going to go on here. And then this is the easy to screw into anything. So for example, we'll come off the Honda. I believe these fit Toyotas, a lot of Japanese cars. This is actually a turbo line feed adapter I got on Amazon. So guys would do the same thing, except they would use this feed to feed oil to their turbocharger. But we're going to use it to feed to the Amsoil Bypass filter. And so your 1/8 NPT can just go right into here, and again, and your hose here, you can use the angle fitting, you know, of course, if you need to in there, but it's just gonna, I'm not gonna know until we get it on the car and I see exactly how it's gonna work out. Also the Loctite the thread sealer that you're going to want to use on the threads. And I guess there's different schools of thought which threads to use it on and which not to, but generally you don't want to use it on the first couple threads. Use it behind that. And in the instructions it'll tell you, you know, which of these to use it on and which to not. So you do need some mechanical ability, but this is not impossible. Okay guys, so sorry, it's actually a 7/16 20 JIC. So here's the parts list if this helps you. All this is available online as well, and you know, it's going to come with instructions. If you do the other type of bypass where, and it's probably a lot easier to install. I don't think it fits the Honda filter base, but the other bypass kit they sell, it has the bypass filter and the full flow on the same mount, and you just connect. You don't have to connect to an oil pressurized port. You just have an adapter that goes where your old oil filter goes. So it's a lot simpler from that regard. But anyway. Alright guys, so maybe hard to see under here. I did get the plug off of that sensor. It wasn't too bad. There it is there, the gray thing. I kind of tucked it behind that power steering hose. But it came off relatively easy with one hand, which was nice. Let me see if I can, sorry, if I can show you. See, there's a little clip, if you can make that out, and I just had to push where my thumb is back here. I had to push on that and wiggle it to get it loose, but pretty simple so far. So anyway, we're going to try to take that sensor out and see if we can use that. So I have a oil sending unit socket that would have worked on our GMC Envoy. I don't know if it's going to fit this one, so no, it's huge. Okay, nope. This might actually fit the actual oil sending unit, which, if I've told you before, it's back behind. It's not this one. It's back behind this one. It's not this thing either. It's behind it, and it's got a rubber boot over it. It's just more difficult to get to. I was hoping I could do what I need to do using the screen one. So we'll see if we can get a deep socket on there or a wrench and hopefully get it out. Alright guys, try my best to document this 7/8 socket on my ratchet fit onto the sensor, and I was able to loosen it. It was not very tight, which was nice. So I am about to unscrew it. I thought I would show that part. So I'm not really sure what all to expect here. There's a ton of oil or a drop of oil or anything. So far, so good. Yeah. So, okay, there it is. And there's hopefully where we will be able to get oil. Hopefully our fitting will screw into that. Let's take this out and have a look at these threads. Okay, so as you can see, there's an O-ring here, as well as these threads, which I'm not so sure these are the tapered threads. Hey guys, so I did take the wheel off and got a little more room to work. So, sorry, I'm trying to hold the camera and go through this. So right here this is your oil pressure sending unit, and there's a little plug right here, and I literally just popped this off with a screwdriver very gently. It came off. This wire here was actually over on this side, and it was in the way of me getting a socket onto this. So I tried moving it. I couldn't without, I thought I would have to disconnect it. Now, I did not have to disconnect it. I hope you can make that out. It's a, see where it's like plugged together here? So I didn't have to disconnect the harness. I just had to, there's a clip on the back of this harness. I just gently pressed that and it removed it from its little holder. I don't know if it's visible there, but it goes into a little holder to keep it out of the way. So that way I was able to move this past here so I can get my metric would probably work better, but a 15/16 does go over it. So I'm going to try to remove that now, guys. Sorry about all the shaking here. Okay, guys. I got, it took quite a bit of, you know, just turning a few degrees at a time with my angled neck ratchet. I'll show you that in a minute. There's probably other ways to get a ratchet on it, but I'm thankful that I had a flexible angled neck ratchet. It's probably the thread sealer. It was, you know, I was able to break it loose, but it actually stayed very hard to turn until now. So I think I can now get it out by hand. So I wanted to, if possible, maybe I could show you that. Of course, you're just going to see my hand. Let's see if we can get down below just a little. So it feels like it's about to come out, and so I'm just taking my time, and and it got tighter again. I might have to put. There we go. Not sure how useful this is. Oh, there it is. I'm gonna bring it out. So there she is. Car hasn't been started today, so that's what we got. And I'm gonna, you know, there's I don't know how I can like look down in the hole to see if the threads are clean. So yeah, this is gonna be interesting. Okay, guys, so now what I'm attempting to do is use my camera to inspect the hole that I just removed the oil sending unit from. I'm a little concerned that the threads on the sending unit look chewed up. I don't know what we can tell from there. Definitely don't want to introduce anything bad to the engine, obviously. You know, do no harm. You know, we're trying to do good here, but our first rule, like I think doctors have, is, you know, do no harm. Anyway, try to look down in there. Oh, the angled head socket. This, I don't know, angled head ratchet. This is what I'm talking about. This is very old. This is my dad's. It's a, so this is a 15/16 socket. Like I said, there's probably a metric that fits it better, but see how the head is able to angle, because, you know, straight, it would not have worked up in there. So with it kind of like this, I was able to slowly, a little bit at a time, you know, couple clicks at a time, turn it. So sure how those threads look. Alright, so I ordered this on Amazon. This is a 1/8 28 BSPT, or BSP, but I think the T just means taper. But there it is, it's a tap. So Lord willing, between that and you know, hopefully we'll be able to restore those threads and get everything going. So guys, I've been praying to the Lord for wisdom, and this is the original, well, I think this sensor was replaced. Previous owner must have had it replaced, and you can see the threads are just gone on the end there. And all that goop there, some kind of sealant, was also stuck to the engine, and so I think that was preventing me from getting the new fitting in, or even a new sensor. And so I took a razor blade and cut this off, and here is the tap I ordered. I ordered this on Amazon. It's a 1/8 BSPT. Let's see here. It's made by Hanson. 1/8 28 BSP. It is tapered. It's a BSPT, and so Lord willing, we're going to run this through, hopefully not generate too many metal shavings, but hopefully just chase the threads in the engine so that we can get either the new fitting, here's the new oil sending unit, but I've already installed it into our fitting here. So I'm hoping to get this to thread in, and then we can hook up our bypass filter that way. So just been seeking the Lord and seeking His wisdom, and trying to, you know, cast my burden on Him, as Psalm 55:22 says. Shot right there. Get those threads. Hey guys, so the book of James in the Bible says that consider it all joy, brothers, whenever you encounter various trials, knowing that the testing of your faith produces endurance. And it says, if any man lacks wisdom, let him ask of God, who gives to all generously and without reproach. So guys, I, lacking wisdom in this situation, in this trial, I have been asking the Lord, and you know, He led me. You know, I thought about what I could try and what I could do, and I bought this tap on Amazon, a 1/8 BSPT, 1/8 28 BSPT tap, and by His grace I have been turning it in by hand, and using, what I've been doing is putting literally a spark plug socket here up on the square drive of the tap, and just turning it by hand and backing it out, and let's see here. So I put that on, And that's literally what I've been using to turn it. And so I have now run this thing in, and I think it's something like 5 or 6 turns. And I mean, let me tell you, when I started, I could not even get this thing in at all. And just by His grace, I think, you know, He's allowed me to catch that first thread. And if you want to watch, I'm going to try backing it out. And then what I do, yeah, that feels threaded in there. And I literally just have been doing this patiently, and then I take a magnet and I just clean. Not even that many chips on there this time. And I know what you're thinking, and I'm thinking the same thing. Those chips are going down in there. So what I do is I take one of these tools. It's like a mechanic's magnet. I wipe it as clean as I can, and I run that around in the hole, and I try to get all the iron particles that I can. And I don't know how much you can see here, but this is basically what I've been doing. And I'll start and I'll run it around the threads and take it out and see. There's like very little on there. I'll wipe it and go back again, stick it down a little further, and what I'm probably going to do is, Lord willing, I get this thing threaded in, before I connect the bypass filter, I'm probably going to start the engine just for a few seconds to pump just a little bit of oil out of the hose, and hopefully expel any remaining particles, because I don't know, and maybe some of you that know the Honda oiling system, if you could comment, if you know, only if you know for sure, the Honda oiling system, whether this oil has already been through the filter and it goes directly to the bearings from here, or if it still has to go through the filter, which hopefully that's the case, and then they would be trapped. But if they do go directly to the bearings, then we better pray I get all of it. So anyway, that's what I'm doing. I'm going to keep doing that, and we'll see how far I get and if we can get this thing going. Let's actually take a look. I don't know what we'll be able to see. Let's see if we can see down in there. Sorry guys, I'm blind as far as where I'm holding the camera, whether you can see in there or not. But I hope we're getting something. Alright guys, I've reached a point where it feels like it's done. That's a good number of turns in there. So I'm gonna try. We'll see what we can do.